Hello, my name is Curtis A. Routley, and I'd like to thank you for coming to the Running Prophecy channel and joining me in my biblical teachings. This is Ezekiel's Israel is Approaching, Part 2, The When. In Part 1, I taught you that Ezekiel's Israel meant Israel was going to occupy all the land from the mountain pass at northern Lebanon to the Suez Canal. This means that Israel is going to reoccupy Gaza, occupy Lebanon, clean out the West Bank one more time, and reoccupy all the Sinai Peninsula back to the Suez Canal. That's the what that God is talking about. The promise that he is now in the process of fulfilling. And today I'm going to teach you the when. Now, when you ask any Christian about time periods of the Bible of the coming events, they will only answer you, no one knows the day or the hour. And if I don't know the day or the hour, how can I teach it to you? And so they make a bold proclamation of their ignorance by the use of this scripture. And with this scripture, they practice divorce and separation, because they have divorced these words from and separated them from what Jesus was talking about. In Matthew 24, verses 35 and 36, Jesus is speaking. He is saying that heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. But of that day and hour that heaven and earth passes away knows no man, not the Son nor the angels of heaven, but only the Father. And they do not know why that is such a good statement. And they do not believe in the last day. They do not think this planet is ever going to disappear, ever going to pass away. So they have no concept of understanding the time periods that sequence the events that are coming. Now, Ecclesiastes 8:7, King Solomon asks a question for these people. He asks, when someone does not know what is going to happen, how can anyone teach him when it is going to take place? You have to know the what if you're going to know the when. So how do you learn the when no one knows the what? It's a problem, isn't it? I hope you see it. And hopefully today we will resolve some of that issue. Daniel, in chapter 12, gives an interesting timeline. He speaks about 3 events. One event that he doesn't mention the name of has a starting point and an ending point that he does not specify. But he says, time, times, and half a time. And then he says the abomination of desolation will appear on day 1290, and blessed is he that attains to the 1335th day. Now this is the number of the last day on the heavenly calendar. So let me show you the chart I have prepared for this teaching, so that you can understand the flow of the timeline and the events that are coming. So let me shift the camera here to where I can get it covered. And bring everything into perspective. When you combine the words of the prophet Daniel with the words in the book of the Revelation, you find some interesting things. You find that the time period called time, times, and half a time is mentioned in Daniel and in Revelation. You find that the 42 months is mentioned in Revelation 11:2 and in Revelation 13:5. And you find that the 1,260 days is mentioned in Revelation 11:3 and in Revelation 12:6. Now these are not 6 different time periods, but they're 6 different ways to say the same thing. This is one time period described in different manners and in different events. And the 42-month period is the one that has the taking away of Jerusalem, the holy city being trod underfoot by the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles is over. Now the daily sacrifice was taken away in 70 AD, when Titus, the Roman general, came in charge of 2 divisions of the Roman legions, made up of native-born Assyrians and native-born Egyptians. He whistled for the 10th Fretensis from Damascus, Syria, and the 15th Apollinaris from Alexandria, Egypt. And with native-born Assyrians and with native-born Egyptians, he destroyed the temple, Jerusalem, and the nation of Israel. And the times, and half a time period, the 42 months, and the 1,260 days began. Now the 1,260-day period ended when Jerusalem was restored to the Jew in 1967. Now if you have a time period that then goes to day 1290 and day 1335, how do you put this time period in that same reference? When you're talking about times, and half a time, 42 months and 1,260 days. If it started on day 0, then on day 1260, which is the last day of the 1,260-day period, the Jews got Jerusalem back. This occurred in 1967. Subtract 70 from 1967 and you come up with 1,897 years. Subtract 7 from that and you are left with 1,890 years. Now 1,890 is exactly 1 1/2 times 1260. So on the calendar run, 1 day was equal to 1 year and 1/2 on the earthly calendar. Now then we come to the 30 days that go from the time period of day 1260 to day 1290. And when I first encountered this period, I figured that time went back to the Jewish rate of a year for a day. So 1967 plus 30 would have had the events taking place in 1997. Nothing happened then. Time marched on. That meant we were at least still on the 1.5 to a day run. So 1 1/2 times 30 is 45 years. 1967 and 45 is the year 2012. Well, 2012 has also come and gone. So that brings us to the God factor. And I read Pastor Mark Biltz's book, The Blood Moons, and Rabbi Jonathan Kahn's book, The Harbinger, and I gained additional insight into the God factor that Daniel has hidden in this time period. This 7-year period that's added in to what the exact time run difference would have been. So if we add the 7 to the 45 and come up with 52, unique things develop. 1967 and 52 is the year 2019. This is the year of the abomination of desolation of day 1290. It is also the middle of the period of Daniel's 70th week, because the event of the middle of the week is exactly the same as day 1290. So the 70th week sits on day 1290 like a goalpost, and I've got it sideways here just so that you can read the writing of the years and understand them more clearly. Now, we see some unique things as well. 1967 plus 50 years is 2017. This is a year of Jubilee for the land of Israel. Now 7 times 7 is 49. 49 is a Shemitah year. 1967 and 49 is the year 2016 when the land of Israel will be at rest, because God always keeps his covenant on his part. We might miss it on ours, but he never does. That means, where are we now? We're at the end of the year of 2014. The second blood moon of the year is about to come into pass. Within a month, the second blood moon will take place. And then we will transfer into the year of 2015 with its 2 blood moons that are remaining. And during this time period, which is now, Ezekiel's Israel will be a fact. Israel will reoccupy all of Gaza, all of Lebanon, clean out the West Bank one more time, and reoccupy all the Sinai Peninsula back to the Suez Canal. We are at the beginning point of the 70th week peace treaty knocking on the door. And the peace treaty begins with the signing of the treaty over Ezekiel's Israel, saying that Israel owns the land that they have occupied in this war. I'm not going to speak about the time periods past this point on this chart. That's for a later lesson. This one is just trying to deal with the when of Ezekiel's Israel. And the time of Ezekiel's Israel's when is right now. If you have questions that no one's ever answered for you, perhaps you would like to get a copy of my book, Running Prophecy, and learn about these things. It's available from authorhouse.com. I trust that it will be a blessing to you, and I hope you join me for more of the teachings that I post on this channel. God bless you.